Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo, and it's great to be on this show. Recently, we had a special guest author with us to talk about her writing. I mean, she's a very dynamic, very prolific writer, especially of children's books, and she's really done a lot. An award-winning writer. Little did we know that this lady will have one of her books longlisted for the biggest prize in Africa, the Nigeria Prize for Literature. And we were excited when the list came out. By the way, if you have not heard about that, yes, the long list of the Nigeria Prize for Literature is out. 11 books. And usually, after a while, 3 are shortlisted, and one of them takes away the big prize. $100,000. Well, we'll keep you posted on that on this show every year. So you might want to keep your eyes glued on Channel's Book Club as we inform you on the next winner of the Nigeria Prize for Literature. Well, Ndidi's book has been longlisted, and we're not too surprised, even though excited about it, but she's such a brilliant writer, and we had a great time with her. Let's get you to meet Ndidi and then enjoy the conversation we had. Perhaps Ndidi will be the next winner of the Nigeria Prize for Literature. Who knows? If she does win it, we'll be back on this show to let you know. But
Ndidi Chiazor-Enenmor is a child rights advocate, environmental activist, songwriter, education consultant, and author. Chiazor-Enenmor holds a Bachelor of Arts in Library Science and English from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and a Master of Arts in English Literature from the University of Lagos. Some of her children's books include A Hero's Welcome, One Little Mosquito, My Fruits, My Alphabet, and I Will Always Eat My Food, amongst others. One of her works, A Father's Pride, was recently listed among the 2024 Nigeria Prize for Literature long list. Chiazor-Enenmor joins Channel's Book Club to discuss her books.
Ndidi, nice to have you on Channel's Book Club.
Thank you so much.
At
It's my
last.
pleasure. At last. At long last.
Really great to have you here.
Yes.
You are such a fantastic writer. I mean, that's been sincere, not
Thank you.
flattering you or anything.
Thank you so much.
Over the years, you've written for kids, particularly
Yeah.
young adults, kids.
Yeah.
What has inspired that?
Okay. I think my experience with my children, my very first book, a picture book, which was published in 2006. The title is I Would Always Eat My Food. It was actually inspired by my first daughter.
Okay.
She didn't like to eat. She was so picky about food, you know. She could play for hours. She doesn't bother about eating. So that was the inspiration behind the book. And when I wrote it, I was getting compliments from other mothers who say, "Oh, my daughter must read this book. My son must read this book. She doesn't eat, you know." So I was like, really? I didn't know the book would make such an impact. And to me, it was an inspiration to write more, you know. And when I take the book to schools, I see the school owners, they were adopting them for their class, you know. So, you know, I was amazed at the reception, you know. It was widely accepted. So that was an inspiration to keep on writing for kids. So I came up with the second book, One Little Mosquito, which was, you know, because then I was living on Lagos mainland then, and passing through Roach Pharmaceutical Company, there was this thing they put on their wall that mosquitoes kill a child every minute in Africa. So each time I'm passing, maybe on my way from work, I'll look at that, and it got me thinking. I'm like, oh, so what can we do? You know, how do we further, you know, spread this message about mosquito and malaria and the, you know, the problem and all of that. So that was the inspiration behind my second book, One Little Mosquito.
Little Mosquito.
You know, I created a story around a little girl who was looking forward to her birthday party, and then suddenly on the eve of her birthday, she fell sick. She had malaria and had to be taken to hospital. And the doctor said, no, you have to be admitted because your temperature is so high. And she was like, no, my birthday party is tomorrow. My friends are coming and all of that. But the doctor said, no, your health or your party, which one, So she was hospitalized. And then the following day, her friends came for the birthday. Where is the birthday girl? Everybody was like, where is the birthday girl? We can't see her. And then the father comes out to announce, oh, Alero was taken ill yesterday. She's in the hospital. And then they take the cake to the hospital. The friends, they cut the cake, and all of that. But when she now came back to school, she decided to do something. Fortunately, that same week, health officials, these are all works of fiction, trying to pass the message across in a way that kids will understand and actually do something. So she decided to form a health club in her school to clean up gutters and then, spread the awareness. We can actually curtail the spread of malaria, make sure you sleep under mosquito treated net, So at the end of the day, I call the series Health is Wealth Children's Book Series. So that was how I started, because I found out that as adults, we'll be told, oh, if you had done this when you were younger, maybe you wouldn't have come down with this illness and all of that. So I'm like, why don't we start early to tell children in such a creative way that they will, have fun reading the book while assimilating the message being passed across. So that was the inspiration behind the Health is Wealth Children's Book Series. So after some time, I now veered into writing for adults and here we are.
And that's the story.
Yeah.
Well, you see, the story, the one you said about your first child,
Yes.
not eating, inspiring your first book, is very unique.
Yes.
I've spoken to so many authors about what inspired them writing, and this is the first time I'm hearing this kind of inspiration.
Yes.
But my question is, while you observed that about your child, you could have written a book for parents, how to get your children eating or proper dieting and all that.
I wanted the children to be active participants in that journey, that journey of knowledge, not just the parents, because, if you, write a book for parents, they will keep, oh, you must eat your food, that kind of a thing. But a child reading that book, Jimmy, the principal character in the book, he wasn't eating, he fell sick, he was taken to the hospital, was given injections and he doesn't like injections. And then he makes a promise to the doctor and the nurses, oh, I'm going to be eating my food. And that was where the title came from. I will always eat my food. So you see that the child is an active participant, not just a book for parents to read and then start, to lecture the children on why they must eat, but for the child to read the book and see the consequences of not eating properly, it will make the child to have that at the back of his mind that, oh, I must eat my food all the time. I wouldn't just eat junk or eat snacks. I have to eat a proper diet.
Yeah. Your book titled A Father's Pride. Now, from here, you sort of like moved on from younger kids to older kids with this story. But this is a book that not just older kids read, even adults. I was reading it and I was like, I'd like you to talk about that book because I found it interesting reading the story. A young girl living with her aunt who was abusing her seriously. And it's a very common story in our society.
Very common. Yeah, very, very common. And you see, most times when we talk about domestic violence, people will just think about their husband, abusing the wife, But there are so many children, like you rightly said, who are passing through that. And, because they are so vulnerable, they may not even be able to talk. Like you see that little girl who was, because her father died and her mom was looking for help and then offers the half sister, okay, why don't you take my child to Lagos, thinking that the child will have a good stay with the aunt. But unfortunately, it turned out the other way. So you see, so many children being abused is underreported. Underreported, yes. And sometimes even neighbors, they don't do enough. Even we have to be observant. Look around, kiss around. When you see a child who is always gloomy, who is always unhappy, you have to ask questions. We are not doing enough in society to bring these things. Sometimes they say, no, probably you don't want to, spoil the relationship we have with that grown up who is abusing that child. But you have to do something because, what if that child has died? And so many children have, passed on through this thing. Some of them, grow up being psychologically damaged. They live with this trauma throughout life. So that is the essence of that book. That domestic violence is not just about a husband and a wife. A lot of children are being are being abused, especially house help. Children who are house help, you see them being beaten, being subjected to all kinds of abuses. So that is the story behind
the character here, Urena. So Urena here, in this case, is a niece turned into house help.
House help, yes.
More or less.
More or less, yes.
Yeah, because her aunt, is it Uchena?
Uloma.
Uloma, the aunt.
Uloma, yes.
Uloma.
Yes.
So Uloma, I mean, from going to fetch water every morning, despite school, she always late.
She must fill up the drum
before
she goes to school.
And if she does not, she receives whips
and all of that.
And she's always going to school late.
Yes, and you can see she can afford to buy her water, because those people that subject children, maybe make them to sell things and all of that. It's not as if they are poor. This woman, she's working, she could afford those things, but sometimes adults take their frustration up on the kids, because when you look at the end of the story, you could see that she had a broken marriage, and she's kind of taking her frustration on the innocent girl. So sometimes as adults, we know the economy is bad, we know that people are passing through, so but it's not the children's fault. So why take on an innocent child? Why subject an innocent child to such treatment because you're frustrated or because you're passing through some emotional challenges and all of that?
So you wrote A Father's Pride.
Yeah.
To address that issue. That was your motivation.
Yeah, and not just that issue. Yeah, there are three major themes in A Father's Pride. Apart from the issue of domestic violence, you also see environmental protection, because I'm always particular about local content. Local content in my book. The issue of environmental protection, taking care of our environment, because we see a lot of things happening, depletion of the ozone layer and all of that. So we have to make children aware of what they need to do for us to preserve this planet that God has given to us. And then you also see the theme of culture. You could see, and then local languages. I'm so passionate about that. In practically all my books, you see me chipping in things about the need for us not to let our local languages die, because so many local languages are going extinct. Children no longer speak their local languages. And there is no excuse for that, really. There is no excuse, because you live in the city doesn't mean that your child shouldn't speak. It must not be your language. It could be any other Nigerian language,
So you are a writer on a mission.
Yes. Yes.
Not just a writer to entertain.
Yes. The entertainment is there, then there is a mission behind my writing.
If they tell the story, won the Anna Prose Prize 2022. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How was that for you?
It was a fantastic experience for me. Yes. I was really glad, like I said, that my books, is making impact. So for me, it's a thing of joy.
Did this change your writing career or your life in any way? I mean, this prize for If They Tell the Story, this book.
I would say it brought me more recognition. I've been invited to so many forums to talk about some of the issues raised in the book. Last year I was invited by an organization in Abuja. My book was, in fact, a lot of reading clubs in Nigeria. In Port Harcourt, there was this Port Harcourt reading club. They will use it, so many organizations are using it for their reading. And then there was a day I just Googled the book and I was surprised that some people in the universities are even using it for their projects.
Wow.
And I mean, I was so glad to see that this book is making such an impact for people to pick it up as their, the book for their.
Nothing excites creatives more than to see their works, impacting people far and near.
Yes.
Incredible. I'd like you to introduce this. If they tell the story, I would like you to introduce it to viewers.
Okay.
What's the story?
Okay, it's a story about Azuka. Azuka represents a lot of women, a lot of young girls. You know, in our society, you see parents pushing their girl child into marriages. You know, when are you bringing a man home? When are, you know, even people, friends, relatives, when are you inviting us to come and eat rice? You know, you kind of push that baby into a marriage that she didn't plan for.
She becomes desperate.
She becomes desperate.
And marries whoever comes.
And that was exactly what happens in Azuka's case. Her mother wanted to go for Omugo by all means.
Some of your other titles that we've not yet mentioned in this conversation, I'd like you to introduce.
Okay, like I said, my experience as a mother, like one of my books, Timi and the Baba.
Timi and
the Baba. It was inspired by my son. The day he had his first haircut, it was drama. Everybody gathered, you know, he was crying, wailing. You know, people were passing by, you know, what's happening? A little boy.
Who is torturing this boy?
His older sister started to record him. So, you know, and I'm like, probably a lot of mothers are also going through this. And so for some, the girls, getting them to do their hair, you know, they will cry and all of that. So Timi and the Baba is a picture book about this boy, and his hair grows so, you know, so fast. Getting a haircut is always an issue. So the mother and the Baba, they had to adopt me, sing songs, dance, just to keep him still. And eventually the Baba thought up an idea, and, you know, that is the power of storytelling. Yeah, there is power in storytelling. So the Baba now decided, okay, when he comes next, I will, you know, so the next time Timi comes, the Baba just started narrating a story, and, you know, he was so interested in the story, and he didn't know when his hair was done. So and then I have Stories of Our Land, which is a collection of folk tales from different ethnic groups in Nigeria. You know, that's another area that I'm so passionate about, because this is a culture that is dying out. You know, the culture of storytelling. Growing up, after dinner, we gathered, aunties, uncles, they will tell us stories, you know. But now you see that even adults, writing that book took me so much time, because even for adults, they don't know about the stories of their land, the folk tales, and, you know, and all of that. So that is something I want us to revive. The oral tradition of telling stories, you know, it helps for bonding. Yeah.
And you have is it Mina and the
birthday dress? Yeah, that's another interesting one. You know, little children, especially girls, they are always picky when it comes to dresses and all of that. So her birthday was approaching, and her mom took her to the shops just to pick a birthday dress. But it was a tough issue. Okay, what about this? Oh, no, mommy, I don't like that. This one, you know, at a point, the mother was so frustrated. Okay, what do you want? Eventually, she picks a yellow color, you know, and the cake is also yellow, the balloons are yellow. So it was like a yellow birthday party, and everything ended so happily for Mina and her friends.
Where can people get your books?
Okay, in all major bookshops, Robin Highs, Bookworm Cafe, Book Peddler, and then Book View World in Port Harcourt. Yeah.
So I mean, so your books are well distributed.
Yeah,
because another challenge with this, and probably this will be my last question to you as a writer. One challenge that people have out there, especially for local content, when it comes to books for kids, is difficult access.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah, poor access.
My books never go out of circulation. None of my books, even the very first book I published in 2006, I will always in my book.
Is this a general problem you've observed?
It's a general problem.
Access to books.
Access to books is a general problem. I think maybe because of the high cost of, you know, whatever may be the case, good books shouldn't go out of circulation. They shouldn't, you know. They shouldn't go. We still read The Chicken and the River, published decades ago. By Chinua Achebe, written by Chinua Achebe. You know, So, for instance, I say the local content is so important to me because you find out our children, they read about snow, they read about fairy godmothers, they read about, but what about, yeah, Santa Claus. They read about summer, winter. Some of them have never even, some of them don't even know about Hamatan in Nigeria. So, why should we be so conscious? In fact, some schools will tell you they don't stock books written by Nigerian authors.
They don't stock books.
They don't. Yeah.
Schools
in Nigeria.
Really?
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Especially the so-called
elite schools.
I mean, what are we talking about? Some children don't know the 36 states of Nigeria and their capitals. In my book, I try to include all of this. Okay, in the journey to Sokoto, just to get our children to be acquainted with our own contents. Children know about the states in America, but they don't know about states in Nigeria.
One child in Nigeria asked me that is Ibadan a country?
You see? So we should make this conscious effort. Everyone, parents, school owners. For goodness sake, how can you say yours? Even some bookshops, yeah. Some bookshops.
Some bookshops will say they don't want to stock Nigerian books.
And we have fantastic authors. We have beautiful books. In fact, my books, sometimes they ask me, are they printed in Nigeria? I say yes. Another thing is make sure there's high quality, whatever you're doing. So sometimes I don't blame them, but when you have something that is of good standard, for goodness sake, why wouldn't you stock books written by Nigerian authors? Why will your children know about the culture, the names, the states, the languages in Nigeria?
We're out of time, but I'm going to let's do a quick fire one. I mean, short, quick answers. Okay. 3 tips for somebody out there who wants to be a writer like you. 1,
you have to be an observer. Wherever you go, you have to be observant. Observe things that are happening around you.
And it's from there you can develop your stories.
Yes.
Number 2.
And then you have to be an avid reader.
Read.
You cannot read. You cannot write if you don't read. You have to read.
Number 3.
You have to practice the art of writing. Keep on writing. If you make mistakes, cross it out and keep on writing. Practice makes perfect.
Learn by writing.
You learn by writing.
Okay.
Yes.
Finally, there are parents out there. Their big headache is their children don't read. How do I get my children to read? My children don't read. What can I do to make my children read?
You have
3 tips.
Yes.
1.
Like I said, children learn by observing what. If you're not a reader, your children cannot read. You cannot tell your children you must read when there is no book in the house.
So the first tip is you read yourself.
You read yourself. Let the children see you read. Then number 2, you have to make the books available. You have to make the books available for the children to read. If you don't have, take them to the libraries. Some children have never visited the library in their entire life.
Someone will argue that we don't have libraries.
We do. If you look for them, you will see them.
Find them. Okay.
And then again, you can offer them, some incentives to read. Okay, you want a new shoe? If you finish this book, I'll buy you that book.
Number 1, read yourself. Let them see you reading. Number 2, offer them incentives. That will encourage them to read. Number 3,
take them to libraries and make sure there are books around them.
Or take them to places where there are books.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, libraries, bookshops.
So we have, even though we don't have our national libraries and our state libraries, let me not say much, but we have some private initiatives. There are some private libraries. If you look around, if you Google, you see them. Yeah. And then there are reading clubs that you can register your children. I'm so glad that, in fact, there is a network of book clubs, that was founded some years ago. So I'm happy that the consciousness is there, the awareness. People are, getting to do things, do active things to make children. So there are online book clubs, there are face-to-face book clubs. You could just Google and you see them.
Ndidi, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much. My
keep
pleasure.
Those things coming. Keep working.
I will.
Keep good.
Yeah, I promise. I promise I'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
What a talented writer she is. Nigeria has a lot of great talents. So many books. The other day somebody asked me, can I introduce her to Nigerian books? I gave her the list of like 3-4 bookshops where you can get Nigerian books, a lot of them. So if you are curious or you want to get into reading Nigerian novels, Nigerian books, you can start with Ndidi's books, and then you can go into books written by so many other talented Nigerian writers out there. Whether you are looking for books for your kids, teenagers, or even yourself, adults, and all, there are all sorts of books written by brilliant Nigerian writers. Many of them will keep you glued on the pages until you are done. I can guarantee you that. Well, this is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.